Have you had like conversations with a Mick West or something like
Yeah.
these debunkers or
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
skeptics?
Yeah, I have, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I interviewed Mick West. So I did a
Oh, you did.
podcast. Yeah, yeah, I did a podcast in season one, I think it was. We had a conversation and it was okay. I mean, I like Mick West's way of communicating in that he's pretty respectful and he's calm
Yeah.
and I like that. And but I feel like he does come from a position of resolution and then work backwards. And I don't think that's that useful. I think it's sort of he works on probability. In my opinion, he is based on probability, which is fine. You can look at that from a scientific perspective. But if you're not prepared to consider that we don't know everything, then and it can only be resolved as something that we know, then you're always going to resolve it as human, prosaic, conventional. You're never going to be
Mm.
able to resolve it as something else. And I think, there's lots of examples throughout history where we thought we knew everything and then we realized that, oh, actually, the Earth's round and, there's micro life and, there's all sorts of things that we discovered that we didn't realize were a thing and were possible. And and I
You don't,
think,
and yeah, you don't get there by having
yeah,
when you see anomalies and you just go, we don't know, but it's probably something we already know. We just can't quite
yeah,
explain it right now.
yeah,
It's like that way of thinking is anti-progress in a way.
100%.
Even though I'm sure a lot of those explanations will explain a lot of anomalies that we currently see today, but that it explains all of them, I'm quite skeptical to that. And it's just not that fun. It's just not that interesting. Let's get some crazy theories on this and experiment and see if it works or not. And if
Yeah,
it's not correct, then all right, let's try something else. It's
100%. Yeah, no,
that's how it should be.
100% completely agree. And I think that's part of the issue is I've had a few because I put a lot of videos out and people send me stuff and I put it out. And then, so Mick West's got I don't know if you're aware, he's got like a forum called Metabunk, which is a lot of sort of skeptics and debunkers will come together and they'll look at cases and then analyze it and always resolve it. I think always resolve them as prosaic or, human made. And so
Mm.
they look at a lot of mine, and I think one of my most recent videos that I put out yesterday, day before, they were working on that because it was like a two-part. So the first part came out about a month before, and it was a case for this guy that had some footage, like an old VHS from 25 years ago. So he took 3 days worth of footage of a UFO over his garden and phoned the police, phoned the Royal Air Force in the UK. Nothing really came of it. He made a report, but then he just filed it away for 25 years. And
Wow.
then he saw my YouTube and said, like you guys, I trust you guys. Do you want this video? So he went down and filmed him and digitized the footage and we got it enhanced and stuff like that. And then, Metabunk guys got involved. And it's definitely Venus. It's this, it's that. And I held back a bit of footage, which sort of disproves the Venus. I kind of knew it was going to go there, but
I
disproves
love
that.
it.
Yeah, it sort of disproved that possibility because there was 58 minutes where the object was still in the sky and you could kind of see a roof pitch, and Venus would have moved sort of 15 degrees, 14.5 degrees in that time frame. So it was like it's not possible to be Venus anyway. So that was a bit of fun, but it just when you look through how they analyze stuff, it's very much it's quite easy because if you think about like we've got 10,000 roughly, I don't know, Starlink and other satellites in the sky. You've got all the planets. You've got all the aircraft. I don't know, maybe another 10,000's worth of aircraft in the sky in any one day across the world. So wherever you look in the sky, there's going to be something conventional in pretty much that direction. And so if you have to resolve it as conventional, then you can easily say, well, Venus was up there, or well, Starlink was up there, and then it's done, and
Mm.
you disregard, and in a lot of cases that is true, and that's probably what it is. But in the cases where you've got a witness that's a really credible person that says, well, actually, I saw it zigzag across the sky and then shoot off and then stop over there. Well, Starlink doesn't do that. And then
Mm.
you have to disregard their testimony and say, well, they're not credible then, or they don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
And I think that's where we sort of fall apart. And I hold a lot more weight in
Yeah.
witness testimony, especially really credible people. So
Which in to play devil's advocate, and I'm sure like you can see that a lot in witness testimony, is that people do get things wrong when they just experience something and they have to relay the information of what they just saw, it is oftentimes wrong. So like you can bear that in mind and say, okay, yeah, it might be wrong, but there's been so many people who say similar things. So if we're going by probability, the probability of all of them being wrong and seeing something that's incorrect, I would find that's probably not very likely either. So it's I agree with you. It's interesting. Yeah.